He recorded a total of 456 shots, earning his initial NBA Defensive Player of the Year award and signaling the league an accolade that he truly earned. Eaton's defensive prowess persisted throughout his 11 years with the Utah Jazz. He topped the league in blocks 4 times and received the Defensive Player of the Year title twice in '85 and '89. He even secured an All-Star selection during that '89 season. By the time he hung up his sneakers in 1993, Eaton accumulated 3,064 blocks, placing him 4th all-time, even with fewer seasons than several other top contenders in that category. He concluded his career boasting an average of 3.5 blocks per game, the highest career average in NBA history. Eaton epitomized a defensive specialist, and his legacy endures as one of the premier rim protectors in NBA history. Mark Eaton was a formidable player. On this channel, we've often discussed the challenges faced by slower, more traditional big men, which seems to hold true in today's NBA. However, Mark Eaton exemplifies a time when these figures thrived. With over 5.5 blocks per game, he could arguably be the top shot blocker of all time. Due to his significant physical stature, unlike players like Muggsy Bogues, opponents couldn't dominate Eaton in any way. While Eaton never faced players like Shaquille O'Neal, there's no reason to doubt he wouldn't have been among the league's best post defenders. In an era when post players excelled, Eaton stood out as one of the NBA's greatest defenders. It was definitely impressive to witness this ultra-tall and slow player build being used to achieve remarkable success. After retiring, he transitioned into an incredibly successful businessman, an award-winning motivational speaker, and a best-selling author. That's quite impressive. Next, we have someone who shares the title of the tallest player in NBA history with Manute Bol, the 7'7" George Mikan. Born in Romania, George's extraordinary height resulted mainly from a pituitary gland issue that caused an excess of growth hormones. Mikan started his journey playing soccer, but it soon proved challenging for someone of his stature. When he switched to basketball, he quickly garnered attention in Romania thanks to his immense size and innate athleticism, which didn't go unnoticed by scouts. In the 1993 draft, Mikan was picked by the Washington Bullets in the 2nd round, becoming the tallest player to ever play in the league. His large frame enabled him to dominate near the basket, while a surprisingly smooth shooting ability and coordination made him a valuable offensive option. Mikan had a standout season in 1995-1996, his 3rd in the league, averaging 14.5 points, just under 10 rebounds, and 2.3 blocks per game, leading the NBA in field goal percentage at 58.4%. Mikan received the NBA's Most Improved Player award, cementing his status as one of the league's top big men during that season. He became a fan favorite not just for his size, but also for his talent and dedication. However, his size turned out to be a double-edged sword. While it made him a formidable force on the court, it also placed considerable strain on his body, particularly affecting his knees and lower back. Injuries started to take a toll, limiting his playing time and forcing him to miss significant parts of several seasons. In the 1996-97 season, he only played 20 games, and the next year, injuries kept him out entirely. After a brief stint with the Nets in 1998, Mikan's injuries continued to affect his career, a recurring issue for many big players, if you haven't noticed. Despite his attempts to return, his body could not handle the rigors of NBA play, leading to his retirement in 2000 after just 6 years in the league. Mikan presented a unique case. Although many claim he was the tallest player ever and averaged nearly 15 points per game, making him above average, he never seemed to receive the recognition he deserved. One reason for this is that his average of just 1.5 blocks per game wasn't as exciting as others on the list, as he was clearly more skilled than the gimmicky game of Manute Bol, being a slow and lumbering big man. Who was slightly more coordinated than some of the other sluggish trees, Mikan was more of a classic big man, just significantly larger until his body let him down post-retirement. George stayed engaged in the basketball scene, becoming an ambassador for the sport and mentoring young athletes. Miran also found success beyond basketball, starring in the 1998 film My Giant with Billy Crystal, bringing his charm and wit to a wider audience. He kept appearing in commercials and became a cherished public figure known for his upbeat spirit and humor. Next, we have a player recognized more for his impact than merely his height, and he even made it into the Hall of Fame. You know him, the towering Chinese player Yao Ming. Unlike many tall athletes, his height stemmed from remarkable genetics, as his parents were both very tall sports figures in China, having been forced to wed at a young age. Yao displayed tremendous potential on the court, blending his impressive height with a keen basketball IQ, a delicate shooting touch, and notable agility for his stature. Yao's path to the NBA started in China, where he played professionally for the Shanghai Sharks in the Chinese Basketball Association. His skills swiftly drew the eye of NBA scouts, and in 2002, he was chosen as the first overall pick in the NBA draft by the Houston Rockets, making him the first international player ever to be selected first overall without any previous experience in American high school basketball or college basketball. However, Yao's entry into the league was challenging. He initially found it tough to adapt to the NBA's physicality and speed, and his English skills were minimal in his rookie year. He showcased glimpses of talent and quickly won the respect of his teammates, including Shaquille O'Neal. Yao's play would progressively improve, and he finished the season as a runner-up for Rookie of the Year, also being named an All-Star starter. Becoming the first rookie to play in the All-Star game since Grant Hill by his second season, he established himself as a dominant force, earning All-Star honors for the second time in what would become 8 consecutive selections. He averaged 17.5 points, 9 rebounds, and 2 blocks per game. His offensive arsenal was varied. He could score with hook shots, fadeaways, and even mid-range jumpers. Defensively, his size alone altered opponents' shots, making him a formidable presence in the paint. However, his mobility and agility allowed him to slide effectively and navigate pick-and-roll situations without being defensively targeted. Yao also thrived in the pick-and-roll alongside his star teammate, Tracy McGrady, helping the Rockets evolve into one of the most formidable teams in the Western Conference. Unfortunately, with Yao's height came physical challenges. He played through numerous sprains and fractures, which eventually took a toll on his performance. Yao missed significant parts of multiple seasons due to foot and ankle fractures that necessitated surgeries. The Rockets' championship aspirations with Yao and McGrady began to dwindle as both stars struggled with their injuries. Despite Yao's remarkable talent, his body restricted his ability to play consistently. In 2011, after years of battling injuries and undergoing multiple surgeries, Yao announced his retirement at the age of 30. Despite his limited career span, he left an extraordinary legacy in the NBA. He played 8 seasons, averaging 19 points and 9 rebounds with 2 blocks each game. He also represented the NBA worldwide, contributing to the league's immense popularity in China and elsewhere. After retiring, Yao continued to impact the sport. He became involved in wildlife conservation, promoted basketball in China, and served as president of the DBA. His legacy was cemented in 2016 when he was inducted into the NBA Hall of Fame. Yao Ming was truly one of the greatest big men the game has ever seen, possessing no real weaknesses aside from his struggle to maintain health. Notably, he was an all-star every season except the 2009 season, due to injuries. The man was elite. Yao Ming's journey was remarkable. However, Shawn Bradley's tale is considerably more disappointing. Bradley's height suited him perfectly for basketball, but his path was not conventional. Following a strong high school career in Utah, he played only 1 season at BYU, where he averaged a notable 15 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 blocks per game. His defensive skills and height quickly attracted NBA attention, but before joining the league, he took a 2-year hiatus for a church mission, which made teams cautious about drafting him. Nevertheless, they did not delay for long, as Shawn Bradley was chosen as the 2nd overall pick in the 1993 NBA draft by the Philadelphia 76ers. Bradley's rookie year with the Sixers highlighted his potential, especially defensively, as he averaged 10 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 blocks per game. Bradley was instantly acknowledged as a significant presence and rim protector. His shot-blocking talent was elite, quickly positioning him among the league's block leaders and establishing him as Philadelphia's defensive anchor. However, his imposing size posed issues offensively, as Bradley struggled against physicality and strength, often finding it hard to score against much stronger and more aggressive defenders. He became recognized more for his shot blocking than his overall impact. The 76ers were not getting the results they anticipated from Bradley, leading them to trade him to the Nets in 1995. His time in New Jersey was brief, yet highlighted his shot-blocking ability even more. In the 1995-1996 season, he led the NBA in blocks per game with an impressive average of 3.4, marking the peak of his career in that regard. But despite his personal successes, the Nets faced difficulties, and Bradley struggled to align with their system. After just a season and a half, he was traded to the Dallas Mavericks in a significant 8-player exchange, which turned out to be the best move in his career. As a Maverick, he maintained his role as a shot-blocking powerhouse, consistently ranking among the league's leaders in blocks while playing alongside Dirk, Steve Nash, and Michael Finley. Bradley was integral to the Mavericks' transformation from a rebuilding team to a playoff contender. His shot-blocking skills complemented Dallas's explosive offense exceptionally well, and they even managed to mask his offensive difficulties. However, this Mavs squad ultimately failed to reach their potential and was never able to secure a championship with Bradley as their center, despite his abilities. Critics sometimes viewed Bradley as a player who didn't completely fulfill his potential as a number 2 pick. His slender physique and issues with physical play were constant points of contention. After the 405 season, Bradley retired, concluding his career with averages of 8 points, 6 rebounds, and an impressive 2.5 blocks per game. In terms of the talent we've discussed so far, he ranks close to the lowest tier. Shawn Bradley is primarily remembered as a significant NBA disappointment. Transitioning from one towering figure to another, while Shawn Bradley illustrated how effective tall players could be defensively, Rick Smith demonstrated how valuable tall players could be offensively. Standing at 7'4", Smith entered the league as the second overall pick by the Pacers in the '88 draft, generating considerable anticipation. Smith became the offensive cornerstone for the Pacers in the paint and could also stretch the floor with his mid-range jumper. He possessed a remarkable ability to move with agility for someone of his stature, showcasing a gentle shooting touch and precise jump hook. Were crucial assets that the Pacers significantly relied on. His effect was instant as he soon became a dependable scoring choice and a vital component of the offensive strategy. By his third season, Smith was averaging over 15 points per game, and the Pacers were constructing a team around him for more than a decade. Smith's provided the Pacers with a trustworthy option in the post and the capacity to stretch defenses, a capability that few other centers possessed at that time. One of the standout moments of Smith's career occurred in the 1994 Eastern Conference Finals against the New York Knicks. The Pacers were seen as underdogs, but with Smith steering the offense and Reggie Miller spearheading the effort, Indiana managed to take the series to 7 games, even though they ultimately came up short. This team was one of the highlights in the history of the Indiana Pacers. By the late 1990s, Indiana evolved into a title contender with Smith and Miller forming one of the top duos in the NBA. In the 1998 season, Smith earned an All-Star selection, and the Pacers reached the Eastern Conference Finals again, only to fall in a tough series against Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls. In 2000, Smith and the Pacers accomplished what had eluded them for so long, reaching the NBA Finals, marking the first time in franchise history. Sadly, they lost to the powerhouse Los Angeles Lakers, led by Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant, who dominated Smith's in 6 games. At least he wasn't the only player overwhelmed by Diesel in his prime despite all the achievements Smith's experienced. His own unique set of challenges, particularly related to his feet, The pressure of playing for many years at such a level resulted in chronic foot pain that ultimately ended his career following the 2000 season. Smith retired at 33, prioritizing his long-term health over NBA achievements. He concluded his career with remarkable statistics, averaging 15.6 rebounds and 1.3 blocks per game over 12 seasons with Indiana. Today, Smith is remembered not just for his size, but for the finesse and versatility he contributed to the center position. He was somewhat of a trailblazer for big men who could score from mid-range and beyond, paving the way for future players to extend their offensive capabilities past the conventional center role. Though Smith may not have been as flamboyant as some peers, his skills and role were vital to the Pacers' success, and that offensive prowess he exhibited was elevated even further with the abilities of Ralph Sampson. Lastly, Sampson, the 7'4" giant, began his path at the University of Virginia, where he became a college basketball sensation. A three-time National Player of the Year, he was widely considered one of the greatest college basketball players in history by the time he joined the NBA. Scouts were mesmerized by his rare blend of size, agility, and skill, which set him apart from many other big men. Who mainly operated close to the basket, Sampson possessed a distinctive talent for ball handling, mid-range shooting, and running the fast break, making him an exceptional prospect for the Houston Rockets, who chose him with the first overall pick in the '83 draft. Sampson quickly began to dominate the NBA in his rookie season, averaging an astounding 21.1 points and 2.4 blocks, earning the Rookie of the Year accolade and a trip to the All-Star game. With a mix of size, agility, and scoring skills, Sampson rapidly became a mismatch nightmare for rival teams. The Rockets realized they had something extraordinary in Sampson, and just a year later, they drafted another future Hall of Famer, Hakeem Olajuwon, creating one of the most promising frontcourts in NBA history. Together, Sampson and Olajuwon formed the Twin Towers, a duo anticipated to rule the NBA for years ahead. In the '85-86 season, Sampson and Olajuwon propelled the Rockets to a remarkable 51-31 record and a spot in the NBA Finals. One of Sampson's standout moments occurred in the Western Conference Finals against the heavily favored Los Angeles Lakers. In Game 5, with the series tied at 2-2, Sampson executed a legendary buzzer beater to oust the defending champions and secure Houston's finals berth. His swift over-the-shoulder shot mid-air is remembered as one of the most unforgettable moments in Rockets lore. Unfortunately, the Rockets couldn't triumph over the Boston Celtics, but Sampson had solidified his status as a formidable presence in the NBA despite his early achievements. Sampson's career experienced a significant shift as injuries became a constant issue for him. The combination of knee and back ailments hindered his mobility and diminished some of the explosiveness that had made him so formidable in his early years. While he occasionally displayed moments reminiscent of his past greatness, he found it difficult to remain on the court, missing substantial time due to persistent injuries. He would later spend a short period with the Sacramento Kings and the Washington Bullets, but by that time, his health had drastically reduced his effectiveness, and he was no longer the dynamic player who had once enthralled fans and scouts. By the time he announced his retirement in 1991, Sampson's career averages were 15 points, 9 rebounds, and 1.5 blocks. Although these figures represent a commendable career, they fail to convey the level of impact he could have achieved had he maintained his health. Sampson's initial years in the league hinted at what could have been one of the most influential NBA careers ever. He demonstrated that big men could excel beyond being mere low-post scorers and rim protectors. They could dribble, shoot from long range, and even initiate fast breaks, encouraging other players to move away from the traditional big man archetype. If you liked this video, I suggest watching another one I created about the wildest duos of all time that totally flopped. As always, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. Today, we're exploring the tallest players to ever compete in the NBA, starting with none other than Manute Bol. Bol was a true giant, even among other tall players, standing at an impressive 7'7". He ranks as one of the tallest players in NBA history, and when he took to the court, he didn't just block shots, but did so with remarkable ease, thanks to his incredibly long arms and quick reflexes. He quickly earned a reputation as one of the league's most formidable shot blockers, averaging an astonishing 3.3 blocks per game throughout his career. During his rookie season with the Washington Bullets, he achieved a rookie record by blocking 397 shots, averaging 5 blocks a game. He had more blocks than points. However, he was more than just a defensive force. While renowned for his shot-blocking prowess, he certainly had some surprises up his sleeve. One unforgettable moment came in 1993 when he shocked everyone by sinking 6 three-pointers in just one half. Though Bol was never particularly consistent in most aspects of his game other than being a towering presence in the paint, it was always thrilling to watch him play. Off the court, his life was equally extraordinary. Born in Sudan, he hailed from a place where few could even envision making it to the NBA, let alone making such an impact. He had his fair share of struggles, fighting off lions and paying 80 cows for his bride, which left him little time for practice. Nevertheless, due to his height, he managed to rise to prominence. Bol used his fame and wealth to assist the people from his war-torn homeland, in contrast to many players who were busy buying lavish homes and extravagant cars. He sent a significant portion of his earnings back to Sudan to support relief initiatives during the Civil War, as he was passionately dedicated to making an impact by using his platform to highlight issues that the Western world often overlooked. However, shifting back to his basketball career, being nearly 8 feet tall brought its own set of obstacles. While that height was a huge advantage for basketball, it also placed tremendous stress on his body. Over the years, the Strand L faced numerous injuries and physical challenges, and by the end of his career, the toll was evident as he played only 19 games in his last 2 NBA seasons with 4 different teams. When he retired, he left a statistic line as distinctive as he was. Throughout his 10-year career, he played for 4 teams: the Bullets, Warriors, Sixers, and Heat. Although he averaged only 2.6 points and 4.2 rebounds, his blocking stats were exceptional. Bol concluded his career with an impressive total of 286 blocks, placing him among the premier shot blockers in NBA history. While his offensive skills were mediocre and he had a catapult-like shooting style, he was fascinating to watch. Sadly, after retiring, his difficulties persisted. He endured several health challenges and, tragically, passed away in 2010 at merely 47 years old due to kidney failure. Although not the top player in the NBA, he was a legend in his own remarkable way. Whenever he was on the court, he undoubtedly put on an impressive display. Manu opened the door for other giants to shine, something Taco Fall certainly valued. Taco Fall is among the most well-known giants in recent NBA history, towering at an astonishing 7 feet 6 inches. He quickly became a fan favorite due to his impressive stature and charming smile. While in Senegal, he initially had little knowledge of basketball, prioritizing academics and showing a passion for science and math, even aspiring to be a biochemist. However, at 7'3" as a 15-year-old, it wasn't long before basketball coaches noticed him. He chose to pursue basketball seriously and relocated to the United States in 2012 for his sophomore year in high school. By his senior year, he was averaging 20 points, 15 rebounds, and 5 blocks per game while excelling on the court with a 75% shooting percentage. Although he wasn't particularly gifted, coaches believed they could develop him into a powerhouse in the right environment, which played a significant role in him receiving a basketball scholarship at the University of Central Florida. At UCF, Taco's height and defensive skills made him a standout, and his shot-blocking prowess became one of the most intimidating forces in college basketball. During his time at UCF, Taco continued to develop steadily, averaging 11 points, 7.7 rebounds, and 2.6 blocks per game, along with a shooting percentage of 75%. I mean, this guy was essentially a cheat code at the collegiate level, even though he wasn't facing top-tier talent. This individual was still done, and not only was he massive, but his hands were both charming and soft. He led UCF to an impressive 24-9 record this season and secured a place in the 2019 NCAA tournament, featuring a memorable matchup against Zion Williamson of Duke. Taco almost led his team to a Cinderella upset, blocking shots and dominating the paint in one of the most viewed games of the tournament. Although UCF lost by a single point, Taco's performance on such a prominent stage made him a fan favorite and a compelling NBA prospect. However, despite this, Taco went undrafted in the 2019 NBA draft, as many teams were moving away from traditional paint protecting big men and concentrating on more agile players capable of stretching the floor and switching defensively. Concerns regarding his mobility and the NBA's faster pace likely impacted his draft status, but just because he was not drafted didn't signify the end of Taco's career. Shortly after the draft, the Celtics signed him to join their Summer League team. In his initial Summer League games, Taco drew substantial attention, blocking shots, grabbing rebounds, and making a hook shot here and there. His 7'6" frame and 8'2" wingspan quickly made him a fan favorite, and by the end of Summer League, the Celtics recognized Taco's potential as a situational player. And Unique Fandra eventually signing him to a two-way deal. This contract enabled Taco to divide his time between the NBA and the G League, where he could acquire regular playing experience while also making appearances with the Celtics. During the few occasions he stepped onto the court at TD Garden, fans erupted, and each time Taco touched the ball, the crowd roared even louder. However, Taco never really established a name for himself in the NBA. Over his 2 years with the Celtics, Taco played in only 26 games, averaging 2.7 points, 2.6 rebounds, and a block per game, generally entering during garbage time. Taco, while sometimes capable of scoring a few quick baskets, is primarily a significant nuisance on the team. Like many players of his size, you'll notice their astonishing shooting percentages in minimal minutes and question why they're not receiving more playing time, but in truth, these statistics are hollow and deceptive. Similar to players like Bamba, although Taco isn't as proficient, he can provide some easy points near the rim and defend the basket on the weak side for a block and a hook shot now and then. Nevertheless, when not performing those tasks, these players are frequently being taken advantage of. When assessing smaller, more agile players such as a Dwight Howard type or even those at a more standard level like Derek Lively or JaVale McGee, a slow-footed giant has no likelihood of staying in front of these players during the pick and roll, which is the simplest way to exploit them, as well as in fast breaks or while contesting rebounds. Taco Fall, while entertaining and effective, struggled to find a place in any rotation due to his lack of foot speed and his subpar abilities in other areas such as securing rebounds, shooting from beyond 3 feet, or maintaining balance near the hoop, as Boban has previously stated. Approaching the 2021-2022 season, Taco felt he required a new environment and signed with the Cavaliers, but his involvement was again restricted, featuring in only 11 games, and currently, that season marks the last time we witnessed Taco in the NBA. He concluded his career with averages of 2 points, 2 rebounds, and nearly a block per game, but at 28 years old and currently playing in China, he might not be finished just yet. Although his NBA journey appears to be over, there remains a slight possibility of his return, which would likely be more of a business decision than a basketball one. It's unfortunate that he did not experience a more prosperous NBA career, contrasting sharply with the next individual on the list, Mark Eaton. Unlike Manute Bol and Taco Fall, Mark Eaton was slightly shorter at 7'4", but weighed 275 pounds, approximately 75 pounds heavier than Bol, and he had one of the most remarkable success stories in basketball history, having not even originally considered a career in the sport. Throughout his high school years, Eaton's main interest was actually in water polo and auto mechanics, not basketball. After graduating, he became a mechanic and seemed to be on that career path until a junior college basketball coach noticed him and urged him to try basketball. Taking the suggestion seriously, Eaton enrolled at Cypress College in California, where he began honing his skills. His efforts eventually earned him a scholarship at UCLA, but even there, he found himself more often on the bench than on the court. Over 2 seasons with the Bruins, he averaged a mere 1.3 points per game. Nevertheless, his impressive size and defensive upside had not gone unnoticed. leading to a significant change in his life when he was drafted in the fourth round of the 198 NBA draft by the Utah Jazz. From the moment Eaton stepped onto the NBA court, it was obvious that his defensive impact was exceptional. Utah centered its defense around him, and he quickly made a name as a premier shot blocker. During his rookie season, he led the league with 3.4 blocks per game, and that was just the start. In the 1984-1985 season, Eaton reached the pinnacle of his shot-blocking prowess, setting an NBA record by averaging an incredible 5.6 blocks per game, an accomplishment that still holds as the highest single-season average in NBA history. That year was remarkable,